Hi, hey, hello, it's Tiana back at it again for another video talking about Chadwick Boseman. I've made a personal rule that crying on YouTube is not something that I will do, but this is a very sad and emotional topic. If you don't know, Chadwick recently died from colon cancer at the age of 43. As I'm recording this, it's the day after the public found out that he had died. And I'm a really emotional person. Like I cry. Like, one thing about me is I cry. So like, I don't, if I like get too emotional, you might see like a drastic cut, because I'm not gonna post a video of me crying on the internet. I just don't like it. Like, I don't know if it's something about vulnerability or like embarrassment, or I don't know, because like in real life, in person, I have no problem crying in front of whoever. Like, I will meet you in 5 minutes and be crying if I feel like I need to cry. But just crying on the internet, it just, I don't know, it always just feels sort of like disingenuous and like performative, even if you genuinely feel those feelings. So I'm gonna try my best not to cry. But this video is not really about Chadwick himself, but his death sort of made me feel like I wanted to make this video, and kind of I'm gonna try to keep it just mostly about me and my feelings. But yeah, so let's just get started so I can stop rambling and feeling so nervous and anxious. So the topic that I really want to talk about is just the idea of representation and the importance of being able to see yourself in media and what that means, right? I saw a lot of people posting like videos and like pictures of their kids in Black Panther costumes, and interviews that he did with like fans, and just really talking about the importance that the character of Black Panther, and not just Black Panther, but his also he was known for playing like Black historical figures. So he played James Brown, he played Jackie Robinson, he played Thurgood Marshall, and people were talking a lot about how he took on that mantle of representation. He made sure his roles were roles that Black people would feel inspired by, or be able to see themselves in that character. The main and I feel like the biggest role obviously is Black Panther. And like, for me personally, right, I love Black Panther. Obviously it's a great movie, but I really like superhero movies, and for me, I feel like I'm gonna cry. For me, superhero movies, or just the superhero genre, like, I'm not a comic book person. Comic books, again, goes back to what I was saying about magazines in my bow tie video. We didn't have money for comic books. Like, I don't know how much comic books cost. I don't know if it was a comic book like store near me that I could have, like, it might have been really cheap, but like, I didn't have access to that. So I didn't read comics, but I did watch TV. I would watch like Justice League, the cartoon, and Batman and all that with my father. And I just have like a real, like a childhood connection to watching like superhero TV shows and superhero movies. And then so like, ever since I was a kid, I really loved superhero. Those are all DC characters I named, but I watched Marvel characters as well. I really love Spider-Man. I've always loved Spider-Man. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. But I wasn't like, because I wasn't a comic book reader, I didn't really know who Black Panther was. Like the Black superheroes that I knew was Storm, and Green Lantern, and that's really it. Oh, and Static Shock. But like, so like, seeing, after like I got older, I got really into comic books, and it actually became something that I did with my aunt where she would take me to like movies. She would take us to whatever movie I asked her to take us to, and literally from the first Avengers movie to the most recent Avengers movie, we've gone to see every single one of those movies in the theaters with my aunt. And it's just like a family touch point for me, I guess, these superhero movies. But even though like I was just like really getting into like the Marvel universe and learning the characters and stuff, the announcement of Black Panther was like different, because it was like, yeah, you know, Captain America is great and it's fun, and Iron Man is cool, and we love Thor, but Black Panther was Black Panther. Like, that was a whole different vibe. Like, it was going to be a movie that was casted with an all-black cast that got like the big budget, like the whole full-on works that we see other movies get. We were gonna finally get that for a Black movie. Like, we were gonna get a big budget superhero movie starring a Black superhero who has a Black mom and a Black sister and a Black like fighting squad along with him, and there was gonna be like literally hundreds of Black people on the screen at all times, and it was just unprecedented. Like, and if you grow up loving something, right, if you grow up with a connection to something but you don't really see yourself in it, like, it's easy for you to feel like you don't belong or you don't have a place in it, I guess. And it's really interesting because the other like genre thing that I was really into when I was a kid was like magic and like witches and stuff. Like, I had convinced myself that like I was gonna get a Hogwarts letter at 11, and I just didn't get it. And then I was like, oh, but then, you know, Sabrina, I'm going to wake up on my 16th birthday and I'm gonna be a witch. Like, even to the point where when I turned, I think 25, at my big age of 25, it was an eclipse on the day of my birthday. I was like, oh, this is the day that I get my magical powers. And the lack of Black witches in media has made it so that you kind of have to just latch on to whatever representation you can get, and you end up with characters that don't get the same like reverence, that don't get the same, you know, fan love, that don't get the same, you know, press. Like, even if you just look at the stuff that has been going on in the last couple of years in regards to The Craft and Rachel True's character in The Craft, where they will have like events for the main characters of The Craft and not invite the only Black girl in that movie. And it's like, what like, it just seems that a lot of the time, if Black people are included in some form of media, we don't get to be like the focus, we don't get to be the important character. So seeing Black Panther, where in the Black Panther movies there is no character that is more important than Black Panther. He's the title character. Like, you can't have a press tour where people are paying attention to all the characters but ignoring Black Panther, because Black Panther is the main character. And not only is Black Panther the main character, but every character in the movie is Black. So even if they were like, oh, we're gonna ignore Black Panther and talk to his mother, Angela Bassett, or his sister, Letitia Wright, or you know, I guess there were 2 white people in that movie, but like, it was just an important thing. And just watching all those videos of people posting like their kids dressing up, and like just the whole fanfare around it of people going to the movie theaters and in their costumes and their kente, and like the all kind of African attire and African prints, and like having viewing like events where they were inviting like entire schools of children, and it's just, the importance of that can't be underplayed. Like the importance of having a character that no one can take away how vital he was to the story. No one can take away how like important he was to people. And it's just really, the main point that I wanted to make before I get too emotional is just that representation is important, not just because you want like things to be fair or equitable. Like it's not just important because Black people exist so they should be in movies. Like I made a hard rule in like 2014 or 2013 that I was no longer watching shows that didn't have Black characters in it, for the simple fact of, at this point you're being willfully like racist if you are purposefully casting your shows with no people of color at all in the show, with no people of color in the main cast, and then also don't have no Black extras, don't have no Black like guest stars, don't have no Black anything. Like it feels like you're making a choice to be exclusionary. Like you're making a choice to leave people of color out of your stories, and you feel like their stories aren't worthy, you feel like their stories aren't important, right? But outside of just the blatant racism of not including Black people or people of color in like these media portrayals, right? Outside of that, representation is important because seeing yourself and seeing people who look like you, people who think like you, people who feel like you, who have gone through the things that you have gone through, helps you process that life. Like it helps you seeing a black girl on, like for Moesha, right? Seeing a black girl, a teenage black girl who lived like a life like mine, or a better example, right, is 101, right? So the plot of 101 is basically that Brianna Barnes, I don't know if I haven't watched it in forever, but I don't know if she knew her father and they just were separated, or she was just like getting like back close to her father after a separation. But her mom ended up getting a job in Canada, and instead of moving to Canada, she wanted to live with her father. So we see the relationship of this girl and her father as she's growing up as a teenage girl in Baltimore, right? And for me, that hit so many points because when I was a kid, I was a daddy's girl. I was really close to my father, so seeing that father-daughter relationship was just great, because the show that came before it was Moesha, and Moesha and her father had a terrible relationship, and Frank Mitchell is literally the worst TV dad, like, period. So like I went from watching that terrible relationship with a father and a daughter to seeing this really beautiful, healthy a relationship with a father and daughter, and being able to see myself in that relationship, of seeing me being Brianna, my dad being Flex. And then also, she grew up in Baltimore and I grew up in New Jersey, so it was a similar culture, not the same, but a similar culture. I also have a lot of family in Baltimore, so like some of those touchstones were like familiar to me, and it helped me process the ideas of what it meant to be a black girl. Like both Moesha and 101 and Girlfriends as well gave me an idea of what it could look like to be a happy and carefree and popular and friendly and trustworthy. And it taught me that the stereotypes that people had placed onto me, that the racism and like just blatantly like hateful things that I had experienced were not the only way. Like we didn't see Moesha and Brianna were both like black girls, and they did the things that black girls do. Like it wasn't like culturally divested, that's the word I'm trying to use. It wasn't separate from blackness. Like I see a lot of shows where the black character is black in name only, in skin only. Like they black because you can see that they're black, but they don't have any sort of cultural connectedness in anything that they're doing. Like that's not what it was. Brianna and Moesha were black, and their shows were black, the people around them were black, everything was black. But the show was not about them being black. We didn't have to watch like a very special episode every other episode about them experiencing racism. But like they also weren't oblivious to it. They didn't act like they lived in some utopia. So it gave me a sort of picture of what it could be like to be like a great and fun and free and happy black girl and not have like the pressures of having to be a certain thing, and to be able to be myself and process what it means to be different or be weird or be, you know, unique and still be black, right? So representation also, like for queer people or LGBT people, I don't know if straight people should be saying queer, but LGBT plus people, right? Being able to see characters who are biracial, characters who are bisexual, or characters who are gay, and coming to terms with it can help you do the same thing. Like can help you figure out what it is that you want or what it is that you like or how your life could be, or just the simple fact that yes, things might be hard or sad, or like people aren't responding to you in the way that you wish they would, that it can get better. You can make a world where everybody around you is like you and can understand you and want nothing but happiness and health and greatness for you. And TV and movies and books are so important in like who you become. Like literally when I was rewatching Moesha, I was like, people need to keep it very cute on Moesha, because like 60% of who Moesha is who I am. Like I made myself as a human being from watching Moesha. Like I made myself as a human being from watching One-on-One, from watching Girlfriends, like from watching these shows in my formative years. And like there were absolutely white shows that I were watching. There's absolutely so much of Rory Gilmore in me. Like there's absolutely so much of like, my brain goes, oh, Hannah Montana. There's so much Hannah Montana in me. Like there's so much of Alex Russo in me. But the time period of these shows, of me being a small kid, right, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, watching these shows and seeing these girls who look like me, who, you know, had the whose home life looked like mine, that felt like mine, whose experiences matched up with mine so perfectly. Like Rory was great, right? And she had a single mom. And when I was a teenager, when I was watching Gilmore Girls, I also had a single mom. So like there were definitely things that I could be like, oh, that's what it's like. I was also an only child for a very long time. So like there's some experiences that I was like, oh, yes, but it just hits different. It hits different. It hits harder. When the character looks like you, it hits harder when you're a black girl looking at another black girl who's going through the same black girl experiences as you. And whatever like happens in the future, right? Whatever Marvel ends up doing with that series, if they decide to recast Black Panther, which I don't think they should, even if Marvel does decide to recast, or if they decide to just like pass the torch and let Letitia be the next Black Panther, or if they just decide not to do a Black Panther 2 and put those characters in a different universe or a different world. Or I would love to see an actual dark-skinned Storm. And Storm, I don't think Storm is Wakandan. She might be Wakandan. I don't know. As I said earlier, I haven't read any comic books, so I don't really know all the lore. I do know that Storm was married to the Black Panther, but I don't know if she was a Wakandan. But anyways, like, whatever they end up deciding to do with that franchise, we'll always have Black Panther, and we'll always have that feeling of just importance and representation. And like, the only thing that's really made me cry about this whole situation, because like, at the end of the day, I don't know this man. I've never met Chadwick Boseman. He is from South Carolina, and I'm from South Carolina, or I'm living in South Carolina. I don't really know how long you gotta live somewhere before you're from there. But what I was saying, the only thing that made me cry is people who are talking about how they were going to tell their children. Because like, to have to tell someone that their hero, who held that like importance in their life, has died, and like posting all these videos of these kids in these Black Panther costumes. Like, I can remember the first time that I saw like someone on TV or someone in the movie who like really like connected, and I was like, that's me. Like, it was Cree Summer. It was Cree Summer in the Rugrats as Susie. Like, when I first saw Susie, because I was very young. Like, Rugrats, I think the first season of Rugrats came out the year before I was born. So when I was rocking Rugrats, I was literally a baby watching Rugrats, and I can remember being like, her hair looks like mine. And that was the connection. And like, if the character, and it's a little bit different because she's a cartoon, but if the character of Susie had died when I was a kid, it would have destroyed me. Like, it would have destroyed me. So I don't know, man. Or even when I was a kid, yeah, I was like 10, not even 9, when Aaliyah died, and that was heartbreaking. Like, I didn't even know what to do. Or even when I was an adult and Whitney Houston died, like, being a Black girl from New Jersey and losing Whitney Houston, like, she literally is from where I'm from. Like, we're from the same city. Like, it was too much. So that's the part, because you really don't really realize how much you like latch on to like people you've never met, like people you've never engaged with, because their work is so important to you, and their work like just feels like it's a part of you. Like I said, like, some of those characters are, if I didn't watch those shows, if those shows never happened, I would be a different person. Like, half of my personality would be different simply if they never aired Moesha, if they never aired 101, if they never aired Gilmore Girls, if they never aired like these shows that came out when I was like just at the right age to absorb it and like latch onto it and see myself in it. I don't know, man. And that's really the whole point of this channel. It's just understanding how important it is to see yourself in a character, and how important it is to have characters who are told with like kindness and respect and love and like attention to look like you. Like, and that's why I'm so hard on writers of stories about Black girls, because we don't get a lot of representation. There are not a lot of Black girls who are in TV shows. And now for some reason, a lot of the Black girls who get to be in shows don't look like me. And like, that's not shade to biracial women. That's not shade to very light-skinned women. But to see darker-skinned women, to see darker-skinned girls star in their own stories, you have to do it right. You have to do it right. You have to take care. You have to show compassion. You have to let them freaking win, bro. Let us win sometimes. Let us have soft, romantic, like gentle relationships. Like, let us have like people who are fighting for just the 5 seconds of our attention. Like, let us have. The thing that I loved the most about Brianna Barnes was that she was just the coolest person in the world, and everybody knew it and saw it and wanted to be in her orbit. And I always wanted to be that. Like, I wanted to be the girl that everybody wanted to be friends with, that everybody liked. And like, some of this stuff I'm gonna save for the video that I eventually do about black girls in sitcoms. But like, representation is important, and people who try to act like representation isn't important, like, it's just factually untrue, bro. It's just not true. Like, it is so important for you to be able to see yourself. Like, we use characters in TV shows and narrative to process what it is to be a human, and it's easier for you to process that stuff with people who are going through the experiences that you're going to. And yes, I can watch 5 million shows starring white girls, but they don't go through the same stuff that I go through. So like, to some extent, it's not the same. Like, to some extent, there's a separation for what these girls are doing and what I'm feeling. And yes, there are overlaps because we are all girls and we all go through misogyny and we all deal with sexism. But like, it's a different layer when you're black. It's just a different layer. And it's an even different layer when you're darker skinned. Like, and that's the thing. People get like really in their feelings, and by people I mean light-skinned people and biracial people get really in their feelings when people talk about the fact that there are not a lot of monoracial dark-skinned black girls in TV right now, and that they try to say like all black people are black, but like all black people don't experience blackness in the same way. And if you have a way to distance yourself from blackness, if you have a tie to something else that's not blackness, people treat you differently. You have a different experience in the way that you move through the world. People see you as better. People see you as more cultured. People see you as just an all-around better person because you have that tie to something that is not black, because people hate black people. Like, it's very, very simple. And it's not about you being less black. It's not about you being like different or othered. It's about the world seeing you as less black. It's about the world telling people that blackness is bad, and if you have any tie to anything that is not black, that makes you better than those people who don't. And those are just the facts. But that's a different video as well. That's a different video as well. But yeah, so that's all. This video actually ended up being longer than I wanted it to be. I just want to come and say something really quick. Rest in power to Chadwick Boseman. It's really sad. Like, it's really sad. And I also saw people get mad that people were like, oh my god, Black Panther, what are they gonna do about the next Black Panther movie? And I feel like that's a fair way, because we don't know this man in real life. And like, yeah, you can't like beg for people to or care more about like what people do for you versus them as a human being. But I think it's realistic to be like, I love this movie, I love this franchise, and he was the star, and what are they gonna do now? Like, I don't know. But like this video if you like this content. I probably won't do more content like this, like talking about like a death or like, I don't know. I just don't, it just makes me really sad, and I don't like living in sad emotions. So this video is also a way for me to process the sadness I feel about his death and try to release it. And yeah, so like this video if you like this content. In the comments, tell me the top like 3 characters that make your personality. Like the top 3 characters that when you saw them, you literally were like, I want to be like them, and started like emulating what they did, like emulating their mannerism, using their jokes to your friends, like start adding their sayings to what you say, their catchphrases and all that. Like, tell me the top 3 characters that made you who you are in the comments. And I guess that's it. See you in the next one.